I'm doing a PLC over repeated reading of leveled and decodable text, and the focus area is kindergarten and first grade. The agenda and table of contents is first I will talk about my vision statement, then my focus problem, focus question, my hypothesis, the strategy and process I use, an article that I found to help my research, a poll, examples, tech resources, my reflection and next steps, and then my recording. So my personal vision statement for teaching literacy is leveraging my empathy, work ethic, and literacy knowledge. I plan to help my students and colleagues create a school environment that allows all students and teachers to feel safe, valued, and respected in order for students to succeed academically, emotionally, and socially. Working as a team, we will increase student literacy and help each student, no matter their level, become more fluent and competent readers and writers. So the goal of this assignment was for me to find a problem that I saw in my classroom and come up with a solution to the problem using some type of intervention or reading strategy. And so my focus problem is that in my classroom I have noticed a lack of word recognition and low reading fluency of my students. And after discussing with and interviewing my students, I found out that very few of my students actually were actively reading at home, either by themselves or by family members. And another issue was that because my students' first language is in Spanish, if they were being read to at home, it was in Spanish, which is good, but we need to, my job as an ESL teacher is to help them read fluently in English as well. And so this meant that the only time that they were engaging with reading in an academic setting was at school. And so my focus of this implementation of the leveled fluency readings is to increase word recognition, familiarity, increase fluency, and increase my students' engagement of reading outside of the classroom. And so my focus question is, if students do consistently engage with the repeated reading of a leveled decodable text outside of the classroom, will there be an increase in word recognition and reading fluency? And so my hypothesis is that I do think that if they consistently engage with the repeated reading of a decodable text outside of the classroom, there will be a significant increase in word recognition and reading fluency. And so my strategy for solving this problem that I have in my classroom is that I am going to send home weekly decodable text for my students. And I did this by recording myself reading and tracking on the page, and then I uploaded that recording on YouTube. And then I leveled the text for the students depending on their language proficiency level and their reading level. So I assigned them to groups and gave them a reading packet with the QR code of me reading on the recording that aligned to their level text. And so the student's job was to take these packets home and listen to the recording each weeknight and practice the reading with someone in their house. Parents were supposed to sign the attached reading log indicating that their students engaged with the fluency practice each night. I had some engagement on the reading logs, sometimes I did not, but on Fridays then students would then come to my desk and be assessed on how many words that they could fluently read in 1 minute. For each word they read fluently, they got that many points, and the points are tracked on the data wall over there, and they can receive certain rewards once they reach certain goals. So my process was to select a Tennessee Best for All Foundational Skills Curriculum decodable reader based on what unit the students are on. And then I used a AI tool to level the decodable reader. And then I determined the reading level of each student by assessing how many words the students could read from the decodable reader in 1 minute without practicing. I also looked at their language proficiency levels on elevation. I then recorded myself fluently reading the decodable reader, and I uploaded it to YouTube. I then created a QR code and inserted it onto the cover page of the level text. And then I sent home the decodable reader packet with the attached reading log, and I had students practice the reader each night, and of course having parents sign the reading log, ensuring that the students practice the reading. And then on Friday, the students came up to me one at a time to read for 1 minute, and I would tally how many words they could read fluently in 1 minute. Then I tracked the points on the data wall so students can take ownership of their learning. And here's the link to the Tennessee Best for All curriculum that I used. I chose the article by Sarah Dowhauer on her article that is about the effects of repeated reading on second grade transitional readers' fluency and comprehension. So even though this was second grade, I found a lot of the things that she talked about was applicable to my kindergarten and first graders. So this article was really helpful and supported my findings that I found with my research project. This is my poll that I took on my kindergarten and first grade students of how many of them engaged with reading outside of the classroom, either with a family member independently. 34% of them said they never read at home or were read to at home. 21% of them said sometimes, 32% of them said very rarely, and only 10% of them read each night at home, either by themselves or with a family member. So I definitely wanted to fix this and increase student reading at home. This is an example of what the level text looked like. I had 3 groups, Group A, Group B, and Group C. It's all about the same topic and subject and has a lot of the same words. It's just mainly smaller text. Here is an example of me reading first grade. Here's our new story this week. We are still reading about the Green Fern Zoo, but the new story. But yeah, you get the point. This is one of my students. This shows how much her fluency has increased. And so in the first picture is week 1 of her practicing reading and how many points she could read in 1 minute. And then this is week 2 and week 3. As you can see, by the end of week 3, she can read a lot more words in 1 minute than she could in week 1. So this shows that my intervention was actually working. And so here's a more close-up picture. You can look at the bottom in the first week, that before practicing reading fluently, a student could only read 3 or 4 words fluently per minute. In week 2, in this kind of section, she was increasing her fluency, able to read 7 to 9 words per minute, and by the end of week 3, she was able to read 10 to 15 words fluently per minute, which showed a really big increase in her reading fluency and word recognition. Been super proud of her and her progress this year. This is the technology tool I use. It's called DIFIT. It's an AI tool for teachers, and I use it to automatically level text, which makes my job a lot easier. My reflection and next steps of this project is that I had my students were very, very engaged in this and they really took it seriously. But of course I did have some students who didn't do that as much, and I want to increase the parent engagement and get them to sign the reading logs, something like that. Because of the incentives, the students were very engaged, so that was nice. But when I asked the students why they did not practice at home, some of their answers were because they did not have a tablet or their parent wouldn't let them use their phone to scan the QR code to get to the YouTube recording. A lot of our students don't have access to the technology or internet resources that we have at school, at home, so this does create some barriers for them. And then some of the students said they didn't want to practice, and some of them just said that they forgot. Moving forward, I plan to reach out to the parents of students who are not practicing consistently and expressing the importance of reading fluently and how this quick practice at home can really help students reach their literacy goals. Any questions?
Yes.
Okay.
How do you determine the grouping of your students? Is it based on your WEDA like reading scores, or do you do like your own assessment at the beginning?
Yeah. I took their reading WIDA scores into consideration, and I also, before we started this project, I had them come up to my desk and read for 1 minute, see how many words I could. The students that could read a lot of words in 1 minute were in group A. Some that scored in the middle were in group B. You can come in.
We are going out this way if anybody's looking for us, because second grade couldn't wait 15 minutes to let the kids run. And we can't be out there with second grade.
We're about to be done.
Yeah.
So if you guys want to come outside, we're gonna blow bubbles and hang out.
We'll be out there in just a minute.
Thank you, Miss T.
And then, the students that could only read 1 to 5 words per minute were in group C. Yeah. And then here's where I'll put the link to my YouTube recording. Thanks so much.
Thank